Information shared on the following program is for general information purposes only. It does not constitute legal, tax, investment, or other advice, nor is it intended to recommend any particular investments, products, or financial instruments. Always seek advice from your financial advisor, attorney, or accountant with regard to investment, legal, or tax questions.
Well, it's been a few weeks since I almost killed Tony with cheap coffee, but he's fully recovered and he even built up an immunity. I'd like to think I did him a favor. He also agreed to do a taste test now because he swears he can still tell the difference. All right, so that's Starbucks that he's trying first, and the store brand. All right, Tony, which is which? Oh, all right, one more try of the Starbucks. One more of the store brands. Yeah, no, I think he has to admit this is going to be harder than I thought.
Welcome to the only show in the country dedicated to helping savers worry less about money, the Worry-Free Retirement, with your host, best-selling author and fiduciary, Tony Walker.
It is estimated that of the more than 310 million people living in the good old US of A, some 50,000 of them go by the same first and last name. Want to take a guess what it is? John Smith. And while I assume the vast majority of the 50,000 folks who go by the name of John Smith are fine, decent people, I would think it might be possible, just possible, that one of the many people who go by the name John Smith could accidentally be confused or associated with other John Smiths out there whose reputations are not so good. I guess this notion of wanting to carve out one's own identity is why some people go to great lengths to change their names or come up with nicknames that more closely describe who they are and their personality. In the world of business, and yes, even the realm of financial advice, we call this coming up with your own name a brand name. For instance, go to a restaurant and order a soft drink. Sometimes, out of habit, you ask for a Coke, even though it might be Pepsi that they offer. Got to blow your nose? Instead of asking someone to hand you a facial tissue, you ask for the most popular brand name product associated with facial tissues. Yep, Kleenex. In the world of business and finance, carving out and creating your own brand and the name to consumers that they can remember and trust, and in many cases, that name is the key driver to how successful that business is going to be. But Tony, you ask, what's in a name, and what do these given names of people and brand names of products and services have to do with me and my retirement? Well, I'm glad you asked, because today we will discover why the name you associate your money and your retirement with could be the difference between you worrying about retirement versus being worry-free in it. Well, welcome folks to the Worry-Free Retirement, and yes, I am that little man in the sweater vest, retirement name branding specialist and fiduciary Tony Walker. And before we take the time to understand what's behind the name my parents gave me some 61 years ago, let me first introduce a name you have come to know and love over the past 350 episodes of the Worry-Free Retirement, America's favorite financial sidekick, Mr. Aaron Orander, along with our other namesake at the technical helm, Mr. Derek Hudson. Okay, unless at some point in your life you went to the trouble to change your name, the legal name you were given by your parents when you popped out of your mother's womb is the name you're stuck with. Yet the name that you go by may not be your legal name. Take my name, for instance, Tony Walker. My legal name is not Tony Walker, but rather Philip Anthony Walker. Now, while as an adult I can appreciate my legal name of Philip, that wasn't always the case, especially on the first day of school each year when the teacher would call roll and arrive at the W's, pause, and bark out for all the class to hear, hey, all right, let's settle down, class. Let's get back to roll. Heather Smith? Oh, there you are, Heather. Good morning. Bobby Thomas? Bobby, morning. Philip Anthony Walker. Philip Anthony Walker. Hello. Immediately following my teacher saying, Philip Anthony Walker. Hey, I would wait for my classmates to turn around to see who in the world was in the back of the class named Philip A. Walker, who this kid was, and there I was, old Tony, sitting there with an embarrassed look on my face, each time waiting for the fun-loving reaction from my classmates.
Hi.
Well, like it or not, whether it's John Smith, Joe Lunchbox, Philip Anthony Walker, or Tony Walker, names are important because they give us our identity and they create an image with others who associate things about us with our name. And nowhere else in the universe can names associated with others be so confusing than that of who we wish to handle our money. Here's a short list of brand names used to describe those who might employ the services of a financial advisor and those names. Of course, we have financial advisor, financial planner, financial entertainer, certified financial planner, chartered life underwriter, retirement planning specialist, retirement specialist, stockbroker, insurance agent, money manager, wealth manager, and estate planner, just to name a few. And the worst part of all these names, they have nothing to do to differentiate their services and expertise from those of us who have worked hard to distinguish ourselves from the rest of the financial herd. So when I return, I'm going to talk about something that few advisors and the financial institution they represent wish to talk about. And that's what's in a name, and more specifically, what is behind the name Tony Walker and the trademark process we call the worry-free retirement. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Who can you trust? It's one of the most important decisions you'll have to make. Question is, are you ready? Well, we're here to help at Tony Walker Financial. You know, we care more about you than we do your money, and we have over 2,000 happy clients and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau to prove it. Rolling over a 401k, confused about Social Security, maybe you're afraid of running out of money. Learn how to use and enjoy and protect your hard-earned money. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com and let's get started. Our Tony in the Trenches comes from Carol up in Indiana, who basically is saying, Tony, what in the world is going on? Apparently she tried to call her 401k plan about something and was put on hold for like 40 minutes. Folks, we're hearing more and more about this, and just to confirm that this really is a problem, I enlisted our own Aaron Orander to check it out. Aaron, what are you finding out there, partner?
Hey, Tony. Yeah, I'm going to get my representative on the phone and see if they can answer a few questions that I've got. So let me call them real quick.
Hello. Thank you for calling Mutual of Nairobi. We are always here to answer any questions you may have. To begin, please press 1 to speak to a customer care representative. Thank you. All our customer care representatives are currently serving other, more important clients.
Wait a minute. Did you say more important clients?
No, I did not. Please stay on the line, and we will be with you shortly.
Okay, so back to our point in topic here, and that is what's in a name and what's behind a name. Well, assuming you wish to check me out or any other advisor for that matter and put your life savings with them, you're going to need to know their legal name. So let's take a look at this particular site. It's a dandy. It's called BrokerCheck. Now, the purpose of BrokerCheck is to allow consumers to type in an advisor's name that they're thinking about working with, and it provides all the records on that advisor and, of course, their fees. Also at BrokerCheck, you can download a very important document called Form ADV Part 2. Now, you'll notice there's my full name, Philip Anthony Walker. This shares all of the information that you're going to need to know about fees and other things important before employing that advisor. So again, my suggestion, go to BrokerCheck, be sure to type in the full legal name before ever investing money with an advisor. Okay, well that's a great site, but you know what BrokerCheck does not provide you with? Any details on the advisor's credentials about their training and experience in this business, which is not good. We need to do that right now. So let's take a look at the name behind Tony Walker and the credentials I hold. Of course, I got in the business in 1984. Father-in-law started me out in this business. Thank you very much, Mr. Moore. Licensed to sell mutual funds and variable annuities in 1986, so I've been doing this a long time. I completed the American College's CLU Chartered Life Underwriter Program in 1988, which at that time I was one of the youngest in the country to have ever achieved that designation. 1994, I successfully matriculated through all the College for Financial Planning CFP curriculum. This is kind of interesting. Some of you, especially in the Bowling Green, Louisville area, may remember the show Your Money Matters. That was something I produced in the 90s. It was on the cable local origination channels for years. Became registered as an investment advisor in the mid-90s. LEAP licensed. That's where I learned about macroeconomics and opportunity cost and all those things that allowed me to kind of look at things a little differently than a lot of advisors. 2004 through 2007, I participated in a program called Strategic Coach, and guess what? That's where the name, the Worry-Free Retirement, was kind of birthed and now trademarked. Okay, let's kind of scroll through here, Derek. Thank you, sir. This is important. I was trained in 2004 in the first class of what's called the Elite IRA Advisor through Mr. Ed Slott, an author, and he's a well-known CPA in the country. I studied for a year flying back and forth to San Diego about goals and how to properly set goals under goal-setting guru Brian Tracy. Featured on the Weekly Retirement Specialist Weekly on Wave 3 Listens Live in Louisville for about 7 years. In fact, that's where I met America's favorite financial sidekick, Aaron. The show we've been producing since 2014. Oh, this is important. We're going to talk about income plans in a minute and the popularity all of a sudden that everybody thinks you need one. Folks, we've been doing these for years, and I've actually documented that I've overseen over 4,000 written financial game plans. Really important. Also, over the years, I've personally written over close to $500 million of annuities, fixed and fixed interest. We don't do variable annuities now. Since April of 2017, we've also accumulated around $135 million of assets with Charles Schwab as our custodian. And then finally, the thing I'm most proud of actually is the ability for the owner of the company to continue to work and see as many people as I do. So to date, I've seen personally over 15,000 savers. So as you kind of look at this list of credentials, and you could choose anybody, of course, but why wouldn't you want somebody with this type of experience and credentials before you turn your life savings over to them? Let me invite you to learn more about Tony Walker Financial. Just go to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. All kinds of great information on there, all kinds of educational information. And of course, if you'd like to talk with me, just click on that Let's Get Started button, and we'll make that happen right away. Okay, in our time remaining when I come back, I think it's really important to talk about these income plans and the popularity all of a sudden of income planning in retirement and how we've been doing this for years. Good stuff coming your way. I tell you what, let me grab a cup of coffee. I'll be right back. Have you recently retired, been laid off, or offered a pension buyout? Has the company you work for moved, been acquired, or closed its doors forever? And finally, do you have a 401k with a previous employer you'd like to move to safer territory? Then take advantage of this opportunity to move your 401k or lump sum pension to Tony Walker Financial. Let's meet in person to discuss your retirement options. Log on now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com to schedule your free, no obligation appointment. Let us help you today. Welcome back to the Worry-Free Retirement. You know, the Live Well, Die Broke philosophy is much about living life the way you want to versus everybody else telling you how you should live it. We focus today on, of course, that's my brother Marty back in the late 70s, early 80s, and we featured this picture before, and who we're focusing on today is his good friend and contemporary musician back then, Mark Davis. Well, Marty basically stayed in Lexington to play music and work full-time. Mark Davis decided to head on down to the Keys as an adult where he lived and played music and worked down there and just kind of hung out and enjoyed himself. That's Mark there on the keyboard, and of course he's also getting to play with his son, whom I know he loved very much. The reason I share all this with you is Mark Davis passed away just a couple of weeks ago, and it made me think about him living the life he wanted to live. And it reminds me that while you don't have to have a whole bunch of money in life to enjoy life, you do have to use the money to enjoy life. Does that make sense? And many of you folks are putting way too much stress on yourself. So I'm not saying necessarily move to the Keys like Mark Davis, but remember, this journey is pretty brief. I would encourage you maybe to pick up a copy of the book, Live Well, Die Broke from any major bookseller online and take a read of it. You'll see that my philosophy is really different from that of many of the people in the financial world. So again, we thank you very much, and I know Marty will enjoy watching this, and of course I know he's going to miss Mark Davis. Okay, back to point here on what we've been talking about in terms of income planning. Interesting articles starting to come out. This one came out just the other day, and it's talking to advisors, and look at the subtitle, The Time-Segmented Approach and Philosophy Behind the Software as a Service Will Help Advisors Scale Their Practices in Serving Retired Clients. In other words, what this article is saying is many advisors don't have a way to service retirement clients because they don't have the software. Here's another article, just came out on February 11th, 2021. Retirement income moves from niche, meaning very few people do it, to red hot center for advice. Look at this. Advisors need better ways to optimize retirement income if they hope to hold on to a grayer client base. Remember, we're always talking about 10,000 people turning 65. Folks, this is why everybody all of a sudden is a retirement expert. The financial world knows that if they don't get their act in gear, they're going to miss out on a boatload of people with boatloads of money. Our tech columnist looked at that. Well, all this stuff sounds good. There's some recent software, but what about ours? You see, folks, I realized years ago that when I created the WorryFree Retirement, we also needed software that did two very important things. Number one, it allowed the client to see what they have and then how they're going to use the money. Really important. You'd be surprised how many people don't know that. But here's the real important part. Number two, it allows us as a firm, a full-service retirement planning firm, to handle any changes that are going to come their way. And I'll show you that in just a second of what I mean. But here's the point, folks. Retirement is not a one-shot deal. You don't just roll your 401k over to an advisor and him or her makes a big commission or charges you a bunch of fees, because if you don't have a game plan, you don't have a plan. You are going to need somebody in the future that can call up that game plan to deal with the changes that are going to come your way. By the way, next week we're going to talk about some actual examples that deal with these changes and how this powerful software I've created can help you meet the changes and be more worry-free about your future. But let's take a quick look at this. Notice how everything is broken down. The top section is based on age, includes everything that's what we call fixed income. So for instance, we see that this gentleman's wages, pensions, Social Security, had some rental income. And if you can imagine, all these sources of income are like buckets. They come out at different times. This is how planning works, folks. You don't plan in a vacuum. You don't get on a retirement calculator on the internet and think you got a retirement plan. Why? Because things will change. And then as you can see, we've listed all the different assets. Notice at different ages when this comes out. Derek, if you can advance to the next slide, please. Whoop, look at it. Now all of a sudden the money's starting to flow. Why all of a sudden are we pulling out more and more money in these early ages? Folks, because if you don't spend this money in these ages, mark it down, more than likely, you're going to spend a lot less later, meaning you're going to bypass enjoying a lot of this money while you still can. So as you look at this, this is what we offer people. If you don't have anything like this, if you're retired, nearing retirement, maybe you just received a large inheritance, you're trying to figure out what to do with that darn 401k plan, maybe a bunch of money languishing in the bank, and you're thinking, Tony, I feel scattered. I don't have any kind of plan, and I don't know what I'm going to do about the future. If you don't have something like this, why not? Let me make this offer to you right now. At TonyWalkerFinancial.com, we are here to serve you. All you got to do, log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com, click on that Let's Get Started. Let us know how we can help. We can either set up a 10-minute free fiduciary phone call, or we'll be happy to meet you in person at either our Louisville, Bowling Green, or Lexington, Kentucky offices. Do it now, TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or call the toll-free number on your screen. Well, does the Bible have anything to say about names? It sure does. And actually, I was surprised years ago when I found out that my name was kind of biblical. You're going to have to stay tuned for this. Believe it or not, I actually still need another cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Hello.
Hello? Hi, my name is...
Thank you for holding. We value you as a client, and appreciate your business with us. All customer care representatives are still serving other clients, but we promise we will be with you shortly. Thank you.
Well, they value me as a client. I mean, my phone call is important to them. I mean, they just said they're going to be with me shortly, so.
One of the most frequent questions I'm asked is this: Tony, when can I retire? It's a great question and one that many advisors are afraid to tackle. Why? I think it's because most advisors do not truly understand retirement planning and how and why a written game plan is the key to being worry-free after you decide to retire. I know this to be true based on all of the daily interviews I conduct with savers who are retired or nearing retirement and simply need help in making sure they can retire worry-free. My personal experience in meeting with over 15,000 savers has allowed me the ability and expertise to quickly determine for that saver if he or she can retire, and if so, when. Sadly, many people who do retire with no written game plan and no full service team of local retirement specialists to assist them do later on begin to worry. We know what you can expect in retirement, and we know how much you should have saved based on your particular needs and goals. Our proprietary software, coupled with a well-trained staff, will give you the confidence you need in deciding to retire and when to begin using and enjoying this money that you've worked so hard to save. We're a little unusual at Tony Walker Financial because besides myself, we offer 3 highly trained service fiduciaries who do not work on a commission basis, but are paid a salary to be there to service what I sell. It's an unusual arrangement, but one I think you'll find to be in your best interest. You'll know that you have competent advice along the way, not only when you retire, but long into retirement. So if you are retiring, thinking of retiring, or know of someone who isn't sure about how to go about retiring, why don't you log on right now to TonyWalkerFinancial.com or call the toll-free number on your screen. We look forward to helping you enjoy a worry-free retirement, and as always, we're happy to meet or talk to you about your situation at no cost or obligation. Some 30 years ago, shortly after becoming a follower of Jesus Christ, the church I was attending at the time asked its members to take a test to determine something they referred to as our individual spiritual personality. My personal results concluded that my spiritual personality was comparable to that of a fellow in the Bible by the name of Barnabas. New to the faith, I had never heard of this man by the name of Barnabas, yet I soon discovered that Barnabas was not his legal name. No, apparently Barnabas's real name was Joseph, that is, until the apostles decided to change it to Barnabas. Now, why would the apostles go to the trouble to change this man's name to Barnabas? Well, because apparently it better described to others the character of Barnabas. You see, the word Barnabas actually means son of encouragement. We see the spirit of Barnabas and his desire to encourage others at a time in this world when God's Spirit was moving through the multitudes, where in Acts 4:37, Barnabas doesn't just sell a piece of property and bring 10% to the altar. No, he sells the property and brings 100% of the proceeds and lays it at the apostles' feet for the distribution to anyone that might be in need. I'm sure his act of generosity was of great encouragement to the people of the day who were in need. So for me to be identified or given the spiritual surname, if you will, of Barnabas is in and of itself encouraging to me and a gift that I feel God is making available to me and one that I must use. Maybe having the gift of encouragement explains why I enjoyed coaching youth sports all those years, and of course helping the thousands of savers who trust me with their money. Either way, I'm honored that God would hardwire me with this gift of encouragement, and in my mind, I'm going to use the gift as long as He gives me the privilege to do so. But guess what? I'm human, just like you, and yes, I too become quite discouraged at times, and in those times, I too must look to others to lift me up. One source of encouragement I've relied on over the years are the writings of the late great theologian and preacher Richard Sibbes. My favorite is a book he penned called The Bruised Reed. Sibbes, who back in the day was given the name of the Sweet Dropper, was a great encouragement to even a well-known preacher by the name of Martin Lloyd-Jones, who once referred to Mr. Sibbes as the Heavenly Dr. Sibbes for the way he encouraged him personally in the wake of some apparently very dark days for Mr. Jones. Now, in my own work of helping savers worry less about money, and yes, with the creation of the WorryFree retirement planning process and software, I truly enjoy encouraging savers to retire, who, up until meeting me, many thought they couldn't. And while I enjoy making money at what I do, at this point in my journey, it's really not about the money. I got plenty of that stuff. No, the reason I continue to put in 50, 60 hours a week, continue to hire more and more staff to service what I sell, is so that more and more savers can be encouraged to use and enjoy their money before it's too late. And nowhere else can you find more discouraging messages than those coming out of the financial world. Messages like, you've got to put more money at risk, or you got to have a gajillion dollars before you retire, partner, or you got to work longer, I'm sorry, or wait a minute, you can't give any more money to kids, you might need it. Nothing encouraging from the financial world for savers, just a lot of discouragement. Well, it doesn't have to be that way, folks. You know what I'm offering to do is provide savers a process that will give them a written game plan so that they will know exactly what they have and how best to use and enjoy it, of course, without the fear of running out of it. So if you feel like you need an advisor, someone with the know-how, expertise, and professional local staff equipped to help you worry less about money in retirement, we need to talk. And at best of all, it's easy to do. Just to have a conversation, we can meet by phone or in person, and there's absolutely no cost, no obligation to meet with the owner of the company, Tony Walker, on the phone or in person. Here's what you need to do. Right now, just log on to TonyWalkerFinancial.com. When you get there, just click on that Let's Get Started button. That information will go confidentially to our offices, and then we will reach out to you for an appointment by phone or, if it warrants, in person. TonyWalkerFinancial.com, or feel free to call the toll-free number on your screen. Well, folks, we feel this is such an important topic, we've decided to cover it again in further detail next week on What's in a Name, Part 2. And next week's going to be very interesting as I share a few case studies of what happens not when you retire, but into retirement, and why having a trained retirement specialist is going to help you worry less about money. But you remember, between now and then, if all else fails, you be worry-free. Make it a good one.
Thank you for holding. You are next in line. Please have all of your information readily available. We're sorry, but our offices are now closed. If you'd like, please try again tomorrow, and we'd be happy to assist you with anything you may need. Thank you for calling. Goodbye.